Welcome to the crossroads of the known and the unknown. This is AJ Parr's Spiritual Journalist Podcast.
We are here with Chanda King. She has had several near-death experiences, and she has had a very dense spiritual life. Hello, Chanda.
Hi.
Can you tell me who you are, where you grew up, and when did all these spiritual experiences begin?
My name is Chanda. I grew up in Porter, Texas. I came into this world with knowledge. I used to always have this reoccurring dream. And I'm talking about from the time I was a baby. This dream was of a massive library. And this library, it wasn't books, but boxes of light. And I dreamed that for the first 7 years of my life. And these boxes of light stored knowledge, like everything, like people, where they were going, what their mission was. It's so broad, I don't even know how to describe it. Just everything. I always wondered, what it meant. And it was just recently that someone told me I was having a reading done. And she said, does the meaning keeper of knowledge mean anything to you? And I said, not those specific words, but it makes sense. And I told her about the dreams. And she told me that I was a keeper of knowledge.
Can you tell us about your first near-death experience, how it happened?
I was 10 years old and I had a back surgery. I was the first person to ever have that particular surgery. And I was completely unaware of that until they were wheeling me into the surgical room. And my mom was walking, beside me. And she said, Mama's little guinea pig. And I said, guinea pig? And she said, yeah, you're the first person to ever have this surgery. But it was a very difficult surgery. I was under for 8 hours. At one point, I remember being like up in the ceiling. I was looking down at everything. There were at least 10 or 12 doctors in that room watching as the surgeon performed the surgery. And I saw myself laying face down. And I was like, how can I be seeing myself if I'm face down? But that was the end of that one. Whenever I woke up, I remembered it. And I, told my mom, and she just kind of, I don't know, ignored the fact of what I was telling her.
You mentioned that you also had a second time, right?
Yeah, I've actually had four.
Let's talk about the second time.
I was 16 and I went to the dentist. It was my first time to ever see a dentist. And my mom and my grandmother they took me out of my wheelchair. They put me on the dentist chair. They left the room. I had no idea where they went because the door was shut. The dentist and his wife, the wife was like the helper. But anyway, they were a married couple. It was lunchtime and they were talking about lunch, what they were going to do. And first of all, the dentist put the gas mask on my face and they both left the room. So I got really sleepy. I closed my eyes, but I could see a tunnel and there was a light at the end. And it was very like warm and inviting, and I wanted to be inside that tunnel. So I'm inside the tunnel and I see myself laying in the chair with my eyes shut. I wondered how it was that I could see myself again there, laying there with my eyes shut. Because when you're in a human body, you see with your eyes. But when you're outside of your body, you see with spirit eyes. I kept getting further, I'm not in my body. All of a sudden, I could see my mother and my grandmother. They were sitting on a bench right outside the door. And then I'm further out, like I'm outside the building. And then further out, I'm over the whole town. And I could see my dad on Highway 59 coming home from work. My dad drove a work van, but he was in my brother's truck. And he was very angry because his van broke down and he had to leave his tools at the work site. And he knew that he would come back to work the next day and they would be gone. He was right. They did. But after that, while that was happening, the dentist and his wife come back into the room and they asked me if I like Mexican food. And I said yes. And they repeated, or the dentist repeated, do you like Mexican food? I said yes. Then his wife said, Chanda, do you like Mexican food? Yes. And then they realized that I wasn't there. He jerked the mask off my face and started slapping me and shaking me. And I pulled back through the tunnel and popped back in my body.
So they actually could not hear you when you said yes. When you replied, they did not hear you.
Mm-mm.
And were you there next to them and at the same time you were away?
Correct.
This happened when you were 16. Okay, so when was your following experience?
10 years later, I lived in an apartment complex that had rats. And there was an outbreak of the hantavirus. And I contracted the hantavirus. And it made me deathly ill. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. They tried every antibiotic known to man, and I wasn't responding. So I told the doctor that I wanted to go home to die. But I'm a fighter. I've always been a fighter. And I I told them to put me in my chair. I was going to eat. I was going to force myself to eat. And I was sitting at the breakfast table. Everyone had eaten and gotten up and went about their day. And I was still there trying to eat an egg. And I was looking through the French doors into the garden. And I guess it just was so beautiful, I wanted to be out there, that I wasn't focusing on breathing because I was really having to focus on breathing. Um, my body slipped out into the garden and into a banana tree. It was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had. That tree was happy. It was happy to be there in that garden with the sun shining down on it. I could feel the energy flowing through it. It was amazing. I wish everyone could experience that, because if they did, they would have more respect for life. It was a real tree in my mom and dad's backyard. They had French doors, and
Okay.
I was looking out the back door. I was aware that I had left my body because I was in that tree. So I went back to my body and popped back in it and gasped for air.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome though.
So you had another experience more recently, right? When was this?
2017. I was on hospice, and I had been on it for 7 years. And I did not like being on the drugs that they kept me on. So I fired hospice and I quit doing morphine without a doctor. I had a patch that I knew very little about. When the nurse put it on me, she said, "This is fentanyl." And I said, "What is it?" She said, "It's for pain. It's like morphine." When I went through the withdrawal of fentanyl, it's nothing like morphine. Morphine is like a baby drug compared to what fentanyl is. It's horrible. But it took me until August to stop having withdrawal. And I started getting very sick. There was a lot going on at the same time. Like, I started out of the blue making predictions. And one of those was I looked at my husband and I said, there will be 3 hurricanes back to back to back. One of them will destroy Houston. That was on the 13th of August. And I remember because I wrote it down. And there was no sign of a hurricane on the 13th of August. On the 17th of August is when Hurricane Harvey formed. And it was headed towards Texas. So, well, all that's going on. Other, like, I'm going to say miracles were happening because I started being able to lift my arms and move my legs and, things I haven't done since I was a little girl. And at one point, I started speaking Spanish to the 2 caregivers that were Hispanic. They were talking to each other, and I started, sorry about that, I started chiming in on their conversation. Really? And one girl said, "I didn't know you could speak Spanish." And I was like, "What?" And the other one said, "Chanda, you are speaking Spanish." Isn't it crazy? I still don't know Spanish. I got really, really sick. I had pneumonia and pancreatitis. And I started having major out of body experiences. It was like the veil just ripped wide open. It was like being inside of a sardine can and someone pulled the top off. And I saw everything. When I say everything, I saw stars, planets, I saw Jesus. I saw other beings on other planets. It was amazing. I saw a molecule that will cure everything.
Can you tell me about Jesus?
He took me to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he allowed me to see through his eyes for a fraction of a moment. And the things that I saw that scared the hell out of me.
Why?
Because I was aware that there was evil on the earth, but I didn't know to what extent. Like, it's infiltrated in everything good. Hospitals, churches. One thing that I saw was that we are all connected. I was able to hear everyone on the entire planet. I always wondered how God could hear all of our prayers. And now I know we're all connected. We're a part of him.
Apart from Jesus, did you see angels? Did you see other beings?
I saw an angel that was holding a little boy. And the angel was beautiful. The best description that I can use is fire and ice. The energy flowing through it was just beautiful. And I've seen other angels twice since then that looked like that angel. Jesus told me that if we could only love each other unconditionally, everything else would fall into place. And he mentioned to me that when he was here on earth, he couldn't get the people to understand what he was trying to teach them. He was trying to teach the people that we all have the same power that he has. We all have it. We just have to believe that we have it. You know what I mean? If we believe that we have the ability to heal and the ability to move mountains, like, okay, I forgot to tell you this part. I was sitting on my back porch, and I was having episodes where I was leaving my body and coming back. And I was sitting on the back porch, tilted back in my chair, really enjoying the sunshine on my face. And a rain cloud came over my house. And I reached up and with pure willed that cloud back the other way. And my husband was there and he witnessed the whole thing. And I said, "Did you just see that?" And he laughed and said, "Yes, I did."
Wow.
So I don't know why at that particular moment I believed that I could do that. I don't know. A lot of it's, you know, I don't understand.
Do you feel comfortable talking about your illness? And what could you say about uh, growing up with it? Or I don't know if you want to mention it.
Um, Spinal muscular atrophy is a horrible disease. It's a neurological disease that wastes your muscles. The nerve cells in your spine start to die off. And when your brain sends a signal that travels down your spine, the signal goes to a particular muscle that carries out the function. And my my nerve cells started dying off when I was a baby. And I never did ever crawl. I never picked up my head. Uh, I've never really been able to do much of anything for myself as far as care.
However, you have survived longer than many people who have had that same illness, right?
Yeah, most people die at the age of 2, and I'm 52. So I've lived 50 years past my expiration date. I remember telling my doctor, because every time we went to see her, she would be like, "Okay, she's got 5 more years to live." And then it was, 10 more. And every time I went back to her, she kept putting an expiration on my life. And I told her, "Dr. Solis, you've been killing me my whole life. So forgive me if I take what you say with a grain of salt."
So you think that these experiences were on purpose? I mean, what are the purpose of these spiritual experiences, and what do you think your mission on Earth is?
I know that this book, I have to write this book. That's something that I do from out there. When I was out there, way out there, I received, and when I say received, it's knowledge that I received that I will write this book. I have to write this book.
And I'm going to help you. So um, I'm glad we can work together. And so, what do you think about death, and what are your thoughts? Because you've been telling me that ever since you were a kid, they told you that you didn't have many years left. But this was untrue because you have survived way longer than what they predicted. So what are your thoughts on death? You have mentioned that death does not exist. Can you explain that?
There is no death. We come here for an experience, and you'll leave, and you'll come right back over and over and over until you have learned everything that you could possibly learn about being human on planet Earth. And then when you are done here, you're going to go somewhere else. It's about the experience.
Is this something you realized, or were you told this?
I received it.
So you received this information that death does not exist. What could you tell someone who has also been told that he's not going to live for long, or that they recently lost a loved one, or are simply afraid of dying?
From experience, death, like when you leave your body, you don't even know you're dead. You don't feel it. It doesn't hurt. You just step out. And anyone that fears death, I hope that my book can give them hope that they don't have to fear, because there's going to be a tomorrow and the next day and the next day. You know, we've always existed, and we always will exist. We're just here for the experience.
Thank you, Chanda, for this interview. I am really touched by your words, and I hope we can continue working together on your book. And I wish you the best. And you and your
Thank you.
husband, I give you two my support.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.